Welcome to episode, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of Michael Reads from a Book, the episode in which Michael is newly trimmed, but shockingly underdressed. Today's book is The Digital Sublime, Myth, Power, and Cyberspace by Vincent Mosco. We'll start right at the beginning with Chapter 1. Chapter 1, The Secret of Life. Moore's Law. The processing power of the computer doubles every 18 months. Gore's Law. Myths about the internet double in their distance from reality every 18 months. Although I began to think seriously about writing this book in 1996, shortly after the publication of The Political Economy of Communication, and started writing in earnest in 1999, my interest in the field dates back to 1973, when, as a graduate student, I spent a summer doing research for Daniel Bell on trends in communication and information technology. My specific job was to write a critical review of research on forecasts about the new technology, particularly that of the mass media. I read much of what had been written about radio and television, including promises that broadcasting would bring about revolutionary changes in society, both for better and for worse. But my focus was to be on new technology. At the time, that meant cable and pay television, and the prospect for computers, which of course had not yet appeared on the desktop. I decided to concentrate on cable television, which many people were taking seriously as a potential successor to radio and broadcast television. Cable TV, the typical conclusion went, had the potential to connect people like no other technology. It would bring about ubiquitous two-way communication, and it would usher in a wired society governed by electronic democracy. The multi-channel universe would revitalize communities, enrich schools, end poverty, eliminate the need for everything from banks to shopping malls, and reduce dependency on the automobile. If only we had the will, the power, the right policies, etc., etc., etc. In short, cable TV would transform the world. Sounds familiar? It's striking how little predictions about new technology have changed over the years. As people once hailed the telephone age, the age of electricity, the telegraph age, the age of radio, or the age of television, we are now said to be in the age of the computer. It is not surprising we call it the age of the computer. I don't think we still call it that, do we? In the 1990s, personal computers entered homes and offices throughout the developed world, and even began to make inroads in the lesser developed countries. What sense would it make to call this the age of radio? But how many of us recall through personal experience or reading that people once spoke of the age of the radio as easily as we speak of the computer age? Even fewer would know that the heroes of that earlier age were the radio boys, youngsters who lent romance and spirit to the time by building radios, setting up transmitters, and creating networks. Often this was done surreptitiously, contravening patents, copyrights, and other government rules, as well as the business plans of big companies. Popular fiction celebrated their exploits. Elsewhere, their unwillingness to conform was decried. We might view them as equivalent to today's computer hackers. Anthropologists would see them as electronic tricksters, but we hardly remember them today. The radio, like its predecessors, the telegraph and the telephone, and like communication media that followed, including broadcast and cable television, entered the realm of the commonplace and the now. Incidentally, in Katherine Hayles' book, its name's escaping me, one of her more recent ones, she does a section on the telegraph that really gets at how it shapes communication. It's vaguely tangential. Shut up. Ahem. They no longer inspire great visions of social transformation. They are no longer sublime. Yet who among us would disagree that the telephone, radio, and television, even cable television, are powerful forces in society and in the world? The irony is that as these new technologies lost their luster, gave up the promise of contributing to world peace, and withdrew into the woodwork, they gained a power that continued to resonate in the world. The age of radio is dead, but radio continues to grow. Cable television did not bring about a wired society, but it expands throughout the world. And what about the computer? In the late 1990s, the computer was anything but banal. All the wonders that were forecast for the telegraph, electricity, telephone, and broadcasting were invested in a computer. One of the central points of this book is that computers and the world of what came to be called cyberspace embody and drive important myths about our time. Powered by computer communication, we would, according to these myths, experience an epochal transformation in human experience that would transcend time, the end of history, space, the end of geography, and politics, the end. Sorry, I got that backwards. Power, the end of politics. It is easy to dismiss myths as inconsequential fictions, thus making the tasks of understanding them simple. Unmask the fiction, open people's eyes to the truths that myths conceal, and thereby eliminate their power to fog minds and manipulate behavior. If myths about cyberspace were simply lies that exploited people, for example by getting them to bet their retirement money on firms that promised to make millions of dollars selling pet food over the internet, unmasking myths would be likely to correct behavior, but revealing that the .com was more like .con, it would end the matter. But it doesn't. To find out why, you'll have to read the book. This concludes another episode of Michael Reads from Book. I'll see you next time.